Unfortunately, everything has an ending, guys. And I'm sad to inform you that this is the end of What If Naruto was an outcast in the time of the Sannins, yes. I know it's abrupt, but that is where it comes to an end, guys. However, you already know that there is no need to be sad because new What Ifs are coming up soon for you guys to enjoy. So all you have to do is sit back, relax, and yeah, enjoy, guys. Not to mention I posted a brand new episode over in Making 3 on what if Naruto and his clan was betrayed by Konoha. So go ahead and check out that, guys. And also I posted a brand new episode over in Anime Prince of what if Naruto had Valkyrie seal inside of him. So go ahead and check out that, guys. And also, remember to stay tuned for the rest of what ifs coming your way, guys. Yes, I indeed have 4 channels now, guys, to be exact. Links will be down in the description, so go ahead and check them out, and yeah, enjoy each and every one of them. So without wasting any more time, what do you say we just hop on into this new and unfortunately final episode? Let's begin now, guys. So the last time we left off, Naruto was in a bad condition. Tsunade had rushed inside when she heard about this, ignoring Mito's protest about not going inside. She needed to see him, she needed to make sure that he was okay. As she saw him wrapped in bandages on the bed, she started to cry as the tears filled her eyes. Mito found something strange happening. To her shock, Naruto woke up. No, he did not, when she realized his body was just reacting to Tsunade. Despite being out cold and he shouldn't be able to even move, he actually reached up and wiped her tears away, trying to soothe her even in his sleep. The connection that they shared was something truly beautiful, and it was amazing to watch. It took some time as Naruto snuck out of the hospital. A week later, Tsunade came at his house rather upset. However, how could he tell her that? He was going broke if he stayed in the hospital and he was forced to leave. As Naruto didn't want to ask them for that financial help, Tsunade knew that as well. So she did not say anything about it. And she knew about his pride. However, she had made him breakfast. As Naruto sat there, she fed him the rice porridge. It was downright horrible as she tasted, realizing that it was terrible as she was confused. Why did he eat it then? He told her it was because she had cooked it, and she had went out of her way to cook it for him. That brought a happy smile to her face, although he was rather stupid for doing something like that. We then had a small time skip as Tobirama told Mito to make sure that nothing outrageous happened at the council. He told Mito that Naruto had this switch inside of him that he's once seen in Madara as well. Madara was able to make people fear him by just his lone presence alone. When Naruto is backed into a corner, he lashed out. Tobirama had received a wound some time ago. A wound that was quite deadly, and he almost died from it. As he finally revealed to Mito that it wasn't an accident with any new jutsu. It was Naruto and him going as far as he had backed him into a corner, and this had happened. Mito was shocked to hear that, as she couldn't believe that Naruto was the one that did that to him. The news was rather shocking. So she had to be at that meeting to make sure everything went well. Arriving towards the meeting, Naruto got as he expected. The council members treated him like trash, yes. He was used to this by now, however. He was done. The Inuzaki there tried to talk up to him, however. The same presence that she felt from Madara, she felt it from Naruto as well. That rage, just by a single glance, caused the council members to freeze up where they stood, as Naruto's overwhelming force overpowered them. The way he was acting, the way he was behaving, Mito was shocked. It was just for her lone presence why Naruto toned it down. The council was left speechless as Mito told him that he should leave. She would handle everything here. She slipped him something. It was a mission. Snathy also regrouped with him as well, as she was going to go on this mission. She knew that he wasn't okay as something was bothering him, so she decided to make it as fun as possible for him. As Naruto proceeded to calm himself, the council room was a wreck in there until someone stepped in. As all the members were shocked as the man was on his feet, it was none other than Tobirama Senju. Mito warned him to stay in the hospital that he was still recovering, however, he would not. They had been doing a lot since he has been gone. Now he was here to retake his seat as the head of this council. So yeah guys, basically as we left off, you guys can switch across the page to yourself, and yeah. What do you say we leap on into this new episode without wasting any more time, guys? Well, final episode, so yeah. This will be the last time I'll be doing this. But you already know new what ifs are coming up soon for you guys to enjoy, so sit back, relax, and yeah. Enjoy guys, but this is out for now. So let's begin the finals. We begin this episode at the council chamber, as Naruto stepped inside. A neutral look on his face, as usual, as he looked towards the council, and he yawned. That pissed them off even more. Murderous glint in their eyes, however, he paid them no mind, as he came across the Jiraiya. Yo, said Jiraiya with a greeting. Let me guess, they summoned you as well. Jiraiya nodded, yeah. They called the boat of our team, he said. This morning Naruto was, well, just waking up groggily, and there was a knock on his door. As usual, he thought that it was the rather bright Might Dai who came to visit him. He usually came early in the morning, however, the knock sounded like a peck. When he went to check out, it was a messenger bird. A meeting from the council to report in as soon as possible. So he got dressed as Kira was on his shoulder as he headed out. And the morning was pretty early. To be frank, he felt quite stupid to be here so early, and his senses were still a bit dulled since he felt so sleepy. He certainly wasn't a morning person, that was for sure. As he heard the footsteps as he turned to see the others, Snatty came over and nudged him in the side. Morning, she said. He nodded. Morning, he said back. May I have your attention, please? They turned their gaze towards the front as they looked towards the weirdly dressed man. Grey waistline hair tied into a ponytail, and a goatee. He was dressed head to toe in what Naruto recognized to be samurai armor. This is Mifune, the man that was in charge, introduced the samurai. The samurai, however, seemed rather annoyed to be here for some reason. Hiruzen was the one to step forward as he asked, What might a samurai of your caliber be doing here, Mifune, he said. Hiruzen said that rather respectfully, however, the man scoffed. It seems like he went by that title, Silence is Golden, because he remained silent. Hey, is it just me, or do things seem to be a lot tenser than usual? Everyone ignored Jiraiya as he paid back attention up front. We have to deliver a scroll back to the Iron Country while escorting Mifune and his patrons as well. Seeing the need for rush, you're the only two squads that we have that are rearing to go. Hiruzen Sarutobi will be the commander for the duration of this mission. Do both squads accept? It wasn't a question after all, this was a mission being assigned. There was no room for argument, it was just a front, in front of the client. As they nodded, as Hiruzen accepted a few scrolls and took them away. Let's go, we leave in 15, Hiruzen said, as he flickered away in a body of flames. As Mifune vanished as well. Snatty swirled away in a torrent of water. Orochimaru was gone, in a burst of wind. Dai, eyeing Naruto awkwardly, was about to run until Naruto clasped onto his shoulder and flickered away in a bolt of lightning. Sakamoto released a sigh as he looked toward the spot where his teammates were. There had been no pleasantry between the squad. None of them had said even hi to one another. At least the blonde recognized Dai's nervousness and flashed away with him. However, to him there was nothing, even though he had been standing so close. Yet he felt so far, not to mention what his father told him, to stay away from Naruto Uchiha because he was a problem. As he released another sigh. Time skip. The entire trip had been in pure silence. It seems like everyone was looking for an ambush that was not around them. In fact, at the moment they were actually hoping for one, so it would remove the awkward silence. Even Jiraiya, Dai, and Snatty The most carefree of the party, and who was always loud, was quiet as a cucumber, a testament to the atmosphere that was surrounding them. As for the samurais, things between samurais and shinobis had not been good in the past. Samurais standing up for anything that was worthy of their honor. However, shinobis were less than honorable. After all, backstabbing, gains for their own, betraying, that were hardly any surprise anymore. The two differences made them seem like night and day to one another. Needless to say, both parties had a hatred for one another. Mifune, who was leading his patronate, watched the back of the two genins in front of him with curiosity. More specific, the symbols on the back of their neck. "May I ask you something?" he said, breaking the silence. "Huh?" "Shoot," said Naruto. "Why do your clans wear clan symbols so openly? Aren't shinobi supposed to hide their name from enemy? Or so I've heard." As he questioned in a way to make small talk to learn what made these dishonorable monsters tick. Tsunade was the one to answer the question. "It's a matter of pride," she said, as she flicked her ponytail to the right. "Since olden days, our clans have been unquestionably strong. Not hiding our identities was supposed to be a testament to the powers our clanmen possess. The four noble clans are the only ones who did this at first, with many others trying to imitate us over time. Most of them forgotten about it or thought it was too much work. But the noble clan stuck to their codes loyally." "Really?" said Mifune. "I never would have put such words like honor, loyalty, or nobility in your creed of a ninja." His tone was demeaning, and his henchman behind him was snickering a bit, and that was riling Tsunade up. "You wouldn't be the first to make that mistake," said Naruto, intervening before she could get really mad. "The Senjus, the Uchihas, the Uzumakis, and the Hyugas aren't feared as noble clan for no reason. Take my word for it. They're the best of allies and the worst as opponents. Let it be history to witness. All those who stand against them, none have survived the honorable force," said Naruto, as Hiruzen kept a keen eye on Naruto, not saying anything. However, if you look toward the child, "Them, you see. You speak as if you're not one of them." As Naruto did not expect the man to look so deeply into his words, as he waved it off with a smile. "You read too much into it." As that cut the conversation. "Hey," Jiraiya said as he nudged Sakamoto. As Sakamoto turned towards him, "Is there something wrong with your team?" Sakamoto stiffened at that as he asked, "Why would you say that?" "I don't really know. I mean, each one of you is trying to maintain your distances from each other. Even that guy with the freaky eyebrows is rather silent." Sakamoto sighed as he motioned for him to drop it. For now, this was hardly the place to discuss something like this. They were on a mission. Jiraiya sighed as he simply went back to frowning, as he had wanted to take point with Tsunade nonetheless. But no, it had to be someone else, Naruto no less, being the sharpest eyes of the bunch, and the best fighter in the line. Hiruzen had deemed Naruto to be at the front of the envoy with Tsunade. Clearly, he also saw the hint of hostility between them, as he decided to let them have their space so they can sort it out. Time was the best healer in cases like these, and Tsunade seemed overjoyed by the selection, and that annoyed Jiraiya that she was so happy. "Jiraiya, keep your eyes on the road. Ambush happened when you least expect it," Orochimaru said. Jiraiya turned towards him with a murderous glare, as he was already pissed off. At the front, as Naruto was taking in all of the serenity all around him. However, the view was too mesmerizing and rather unnerving. Hiruzen, Sakamoto, and Orochimaru felt the same way. The spot was perfect for ambush. To make things worse, everything was calm. Way too calm. No boops of baboons. No birds chirping. The place was extremely quiet. As Naruto's eyes blazed crimson, as he looked around, the black marks swirling in slow circles, as he took in each flicker, like a hawk. As Naruto reached his small finger and held onto Tsunade's small finger as well. As she turned her gaze towards him as he whispered, "We're surrounded." She stiffened at his words, her hand reached in her pouch, as she held onto a kunai as she asked, "How much?" As Naruto's eyes darted around as he signaled Hiruzen with a single nod, as the nod was reciprocated by him. They both knew. Too many. That was all he said before. All hell broke loose as Naruto grabbed Mifune's arm and vanished in a bolt of lightning, as the place was riddled with kunais and shurikens. Tsunade landed right beside Naruto. As she looked towards her sensei for orders. Split up, the man mounted. Mifune unsheathed his blade. As there was rage in the man's eyes, he saw some of his unlucky comrades that got sniped down. What is the meaning of this? The man shouted rather loudly, which was a bad move. It's an ambush, said Naruto, let's go. Clenching his fists. As Mifune followed Tsunade's direction. As Naruto cursed Mifune, mobility of only just running like this. As he stood behind them, blocking their guard, the remaining samurais rushed behind him. But the main priority right now was Mifune himself. As a massive stream of flames rushed down towards the group, Tsunade ran through Hansen as she pulled up all the water over the lake to the side. Water style, tearing torrents. The water smashed into the fire, blanketing the area with smoke. Naruto landed right by her side. She was grateful for that. He was the only one that can see properly in the smoke. Keep your senses trained, Tsunade. Someone is purposely channeling chakra into mist. Even my Sharingan cannot fully neutralize everything, so don't drop your guard, he whispered as he pushes back against hers. A wave of raw, poured in killer intent washed over the forest. Tsunade started to tremble. Tsunade, he said. She trembled out, yes. Calm down, he said. I'm right here. He felt her breathing slowly return to normal. As he heard metals clashing, Mifune and the other samurais were engaging some enemies on their own. However, the real enemy was going for them being the shinobi amongst the bunch. It's a good thing that he had Kira with him. As he reached and grabbed her by the snuff of the neck. As he dropped her on the ground. Go girl, he said. As the cub obeys command and dissolved herself into the mist. Now with another pair of eyes trained on them, Naruto crouched down. As he placed 2 fingers on the ground. As he sent a pulse of chakra out. He only felt it go about 10 meters before it was disrupted. He reached out and hooked Tsunade by the waist as he jumped away. As a sickle whipped her in the area. It was a chain sickle attached to a blade. As the enemy was trying to get rid of them, that was for sure. Tsunade had enough of this mess. As she turned, a humongous amount of chakra in her stomach. As she slapped her hand towards her gut. As a result, the ear exploded outwards, causing the mist to blow back as Naruto's eyes focused on an average height, muscular build man. Blonde hair, a bit darker than Tsunade's own. The man was wearing a weird hat on his head. His face was obscured by a strange helmet respirator mask. His headband had 4 vertical lines on it. Whoever this guy was, he was no ally. No ranged shinobi was an ally of Konoha. Mifune and the rest, rallied by the 2 genins, while some more rain ninjas appear behind the masked man. It's Hanzo, stammered one of the samurais behind Mifune. Hanzo? Another one said in shock. You mean the salamander, Hanzo? Naruto had no idea who this Hanzo was, but whoever he was strong. His presence alone rivaled the presence of Sasuke when he was serious, and that was a testament of the man's power because Naruto knew that his sensei was incredibly powerful, and yet this man was great as well, having the same essence as him. As Naruto sent chakra to his legs before he appeared behind Hanzo in a burst of speed, Hanzo gripped onto his Kizurigama as he brought it up and blocked Naruto's kick. Naruto brought his leg down to snap the man's neck like a twig. However, Hanzo maneuvered himself out of the way as he turned towards Naruto. That's some speed you got there, he said. As Naruto jumped back by Tsunade's side, who snapped. What the hell do you want? I have no business with you leaf ninjas. It's a samurai I want. Leave and live to see another day. There's no allies among shinobis. Tsunade hesitated from she saw Naruto attack being effortless to dodge like that. She knew they were no match for this man. Even if Naruto could rally toe-to-toe with him, the experience in his eyes alone will crush them. That's not gonna happen. She turned towards Naruto to see if he was stupid or something. She was about to burst his bubble and get their sensei, until Mifune held them back. We were assigned to escort Mifune to his home alive, and I'm not about to fail this mission. Take my word for it, said Naruto. We should get Hiruzen-sama here. One of the samurai stammered out. Certainly, we are no match for him. Before Mifune could utter a word of defiance or a word of encouragement to them, his men were running away like headless chicken. as Naruto couldn't help but send that amused look towards the man, who seemed really angry at that. "Those are some warriors you got," he said. It stung though. Even Sannin saw the hurt in Mifun's eyes. To think his men had scoured away like coward they were, while the ninjas had stuck by his side, for a mission that they could abort at any second. It shamed Mifun to no end. After all, there were no witnesses in the dead. Even if they left him here to die, they could surely just go back home and say he fell in the battle and take full pay for the mission. "Why would you stay?" he asks. "Don't cut your fortunes yet, old man. The moment I see fit, we're abandoning fort. But until then, I'll fight by your side." As something in his gut told him that this child wasn't one to abandon an ally. As loose as the term was, given the circumstances, he would take this over death. A scream was heard as Mifun snapped his head back. To his horror, the flesh was melted off his comrades. Melted right off their bones. A weird purple mist was there. Sannin grimaced as she looked towards the giant salamander summon, burrow itself back underground. "Poison cloud," she said. Mifun clenched his fist in rage. "Cowards or not, they were his kin." "Hanzo Dono," he said, "allow me to challenge you to battle." He issued his challenge. Looking amused. "So you're Mifun?" Hanzo asks. "Why do you ally with shinobis? It's out of character for all the time you samurai spent holding on to your stupid old ways. Why contract villages with arms when you resent violence so much? Has the oh so honorable, masterful samurais finally sold their soul and loyalty to join the shinobis for some throwaway nickels and dimes, huh?" he mocked. "And yet you still dare to call yourself samurais?" Hanzo said in anger. Taking a step back, Mifun looked down, shame in his eyes. However, this was all the time that Hanzo needed for him to move in. However, blade clashed against blade. As Mifun heard it, Hanzo had to leap back because Naruto blade had a longer edge. "Get yourself together, old man. This is no time to fall for such sudden manipulation tactics," said Naruto. Hanzo was not pleased at all. "You talk big for a kid your size. Let's see if you can back it up." As he grabbed the weighted end of his Kizurigama and launched it towards Sannin's feet to take her off balance. The thing whipped through the air, shocking Sannin by the speed, as she was not prepared for something like that. However, Naruto jumped in front of her, blocking the thing. But it was then that Hanzo brought the sickle around that was attached to the chain as he brought it towards Naruto's skull. However, a kunai dropped right in Naruto's palm as he threw it upwards. He then launched another as he used the first one to deflect. As it clashed against the sickle, knocking to the side as it passed Naruto's face by just an inch as it stabbed into the ground, before Hanzo pulled it back towards him. For a brat your age, you're not half bad. As Naruto lashed out and cleaved the chain in half, as Hanzo was trying to drag it away. "Preposterous," Hanzo said, shocked at the state that his weapon was in. No sword had matched his weapon in combat before, and yet he sliced it with so little effort. "What sword is that?" he asked, genuinely curious. "Nothing you need to concern yourself about," said Naruto. "Cheeky little brat, are you?" said Hanzo. "Sannin, stay back," said Naruto as he took a step forward, Hanzo doing the same. As Naruto used a reflection on his blade and hit it right in Hanzo's eyes. The man blinked a few times as he brought this Kizurigama up though, to block his neck from being sliced off, knowing the move that Naruto would take. No matter how dirty you fight, he twists and kicked Naruto right in the chest. As Naruto's back slammed into the bark of a tree. "The difference in our skill is too much, you child." Naruto spat some blood to the side as he got back to his feet, defiance in his eyes. We'll just see about that as they start to walk calmly before they broke into a sprint. As soon as they reached, Hanzo twisted around as he brought his blade down, right towards Naruto's torso. However, Naruto twists and landed right on Hanzo's blade. As Naruto launched his blade towards Hanzo's neck. However, the Kizurigama wrapped around his arm. Hanzo then twirled Naruto around using the weight to launch him backwards. As he flipped, his feet tearing across the ground, Naruto rolled away as Hanzo's foot came down and cracked the earth. He certainly didn't want to be struck by one of those, as Hanzo came slashing as he started to flip backwards. With each flip, the closer the man got, as Naruto lowered himself as a few strands of his hair got sliced off. He applied chakra to his feet as he pumped and shot himself backwards, He gripped into the bark of a tree as he rushed up it like a squirrel. As Naruto jumped and dodged, kunais were being launched towards him as the shadow underneath him started to get closer and closer. As the man appeared, Naruto twisted and blocked the blade in mid-air. "You're done, brat," Hanzo said. As Hanzo brought down all of his weight and his brute strength, the ground underneath him cracked open. As Naruto was still coming down from the branch, the salamander burst out of it, purple smoke in its mouth, ready to gobble him up. Hanzo pulled his blade back and slammed his heel into Naruto's stomach, launching him right into the center of the thing's mouth. As Naruto was gonna drop right into until something passed by in a white blur and caught him, running off into the distance. "You can run, brat, but you can't hide," Hanzo said as he jumped onto his salamander head. As he started to chase after the white blur and the kid, Mifune and that girl could wait and play with his minions for now. He would have them later, because he was feeling a sensation that he hasn't felt in a long time now. This weird Uchiha was stroking his bloodlust in all the wrong ways. Time skip. Pain. That is what he felt. His body was burning with pain, however. His pride refused him to lie down. As Hanzo stood over him, Naruto coughed up blood. "You're done, Uchiha. I've won at last. Resign yourself to your fate, and you will submit." "Damn it," said Naruto, blade hovering above him just inches away. "Why did you stop?" he asked. His Sharingan finally gave in way to his blue normal eyes. "I want to hear it from your mouth that you give up," Hanzo said. As Naruto couldn't help but laugh and wince in the process. "What? Seriously?" As he clutched his bleeding wounds, he gave himself some more time in this world. As Hanzo sheathed his weapon behind his back. If Naruto hadn't fought him, he would have labeled him an overconfident jerk. However, he had fought him, and his words didn't carry much weight now. "This whole battle, all you've done is taunt me, smirked to my face, and even you've disrespected my strength. You've tried some underhanded tactics, sure, but not once have you aimed your attacks at my back. Why is that?" Hanzo's words made no sense to Naruto, because here he was, ready to be killed, to be put 6 feet under, and yet his opponent was wasting time talking. The bastard was enjoying this, wasn't he? "The same go for you," said Naruto. "My back was open plenty of time before." As Naruto smirked, that was what elated and annoyed Hanzo. "Admit it. Admit your defeat," Hanzo said, a little more force in his tone. "Well, I do," said Naruto. "I've give up. I've given everything I got, and there's still no way I can beat you. The gap between our strength is too much right now. As much as I hate to admit it, you're strong." Hanzo clasped his mask back over his mouth as he hid his smile. "It's good to see that you finally admit and see the full tyranny of Hanzo the Salamander. You knew from the very start that you were no match for me. Even your comrades ran away with their tails between their legs, and you stay back to chance it even though you already know the inevitable," Hanzo said. "I can't just turn my back to an opponent that's willing to give me a fight," said Naruto. "And when your blade first met mine," he coughed violently as more blood came from his mouth. "Blood started bubbling in my head, and all I knew is that I could not turn my back on you. It's sort of like an instinct I have, you know. Plus, now then again, have enough trust in me to watch your backs and take care of you. But I've let her down, once again." "Instincts, you say," said Hanzo, narrowing his gaze down towards the blonde. "Intriguing. Yeah, I have my moments," said Naruto. "So why don't you finish me off? Or is even finished me off too belittling for someone of your stature?" Naruto knew that his bark had no bite to it, but this was all that his ego could take. To be utterly destroyed by an enemy who was toying with him, it didn't sit well with him at all. However, he was not in a condition to really do anything about it. "It's quite the contrary, actually," said Hanzo. "I've lived longer than your feeble mind could ever even begin to comprehend. I've fought more battles than the years you've been a ninja." As he scoffed that his legendary status was being looked down upon by a genin nonetheless. "But I know strength when I see it, and yours is formidable. I must admit that. To vanquish that strength right now would be a terrible waste. Don't you agree?" As Naruto shook his head in disbelief, as he just let it be. His body and mind were too messed up right now to make sense of the situation. As Hanzo couldn't help but feel envy of their own confidence, even after being put through the meat grinder, and now given the opportunity to live rather than being slaughtered. He didn't seem to be that overjoyed about it. This brat reminded him so much of himself. Sitting defeated in front of that man all those years ago, it was annoying. Speaking of which, there was one other thing that he wanted to ask. Tell me, boy, what does the name Madara Uchiha means to you? This runt had way too much resemblance to Madara to be a mere coincidence. And that look in their eyes, the pride that showed within them. The only thing that this brat didn't have was Madara. Favorable strength. Given a few years though, and he could be a worthy adversary. As Naruto here shadowed his eyes. Nothing, he said. Never even heard of him. That's disappointing, Hanzo said. All of his younger life, Hanzo thought himself to be unbeatable, omnipotent, by the time he hit his younger teens. However, one day he came across the shinobi, as he thought of taking the man's head, to retrieving the fortune for it. However, it didn't go as he thought. He remembered he was on the ground bloody. The man stood in front of him, he crossed his arms, he looked down towards him, with a look of disgust. Go on and cling to your wretched life, worm. Come back in 100 years, when you're worthy to call yourself a man. Until then, survive, said Madara. That is the words that he said to defeated Hanzo. Hanzo had been nothing but a bug in his path. A bug that Madara obliged to squash. But that day though, in a rare occurrence, Madara had shown mercy to his enemy. Hanzo had made a name for himself by being the person to fight Madara one-on-one, which most people never even dreamed of, and he lived to tell his tale. But it was a tale that Hanzo was rather humiliated to tell anyone, because the way he was defeated was so pitiful on his case. Maybe Madara had pity him. Maybe he didn't believe that he was worthy to die by his legendary hands. This Uchiha had that same look in his eyes, and not to mention the ego as well. It was truly a shame that the two weren't related. Why do you ask? Said Naruto, breaking Hanzo out of his trance. Nothing, he said. Just remembering old times. It doesn't concern you. As Naruto chuckled at that, don't you go and die on me from old age. No, that would be embarrassing, he said. Hanzo got to his feet fully, as he heard the battle sounds. He reached out as he pulled out a vial and chucked it into the boy's lap. That antidote will only relieve you of the poison. See to it that you get examined for those wounds. I look forward to facing you in battle in the near future, though the odds of you beating me are 1 in 10, well, at best. As Naruto chuckled as he removed his hand to show a hole in his left waist, as you could see right through it. What makes you think I'll survive this? There was absolutely no fear in his eyes despite everything. I have a gut feeling, Hanzo said, but I would watch my back from now on, if I were you. Bastard, said Naruto in a chuckle. As Hanzo was gone, Naruto popped the top of the antidote as he drank it down rather quickly. The pain became so intense as it coursed through him, he had to release the pressure off his wound. But even then he did not scream. If he did, Tsunade would lose her wits and focus if she heard him, and probably do something stupid to rush back to his aid. That was simply unacceptable. However, he was now thinking, what did Hanzo mean by that? As he wondered, were his friends in trouble? What if Tsunade needed him right now? Was that what Hanzo meant by that? What if she was hoping for him to return, to help her? But he wouldn't be there. Damn it. He had to get his body moving. He had to get it moving now. But he had to do something about this wound first. As he pulled a kunai and stuck it in his teeth, biting down on it rather hard. As he clasped a hand over his wound. As he pushed his hand forward, allowing it to get right at his wound, before he started to transport his chakra in a fire nature type and burn it. This was the one moment he regretted not having any medical expertise. But he had no time to worry about that right now. Fire style, he said. Hesitation in his tone, even through all of the torture training that Tobirama put him through. This kind of scared him, as his mind couldn't even comprehend the kind of pain that would ensue because of this. As he focused on her smile. He had to make sure she was alright. As he released a stream of flame, he cried out. The foul smell of burning flesh hit his nostrils, but he couldn't pass out. He had to remain awake. Snavi could need his help. Moments later, his legs felt like they had cracked. Yet he was still walking. Hanzo's antidote might get rid of the poison, however. It felt like molten lava in his system right now. He was limping with a crutch that he carved out of a stick. What help could he give any of them? Given his condition, absolutely none. The most he could do was to hide from Snavi's sight. Until a necessity, if a lethal blow was to come her way, for him to jump in and take it for her. Not a good plan, he knew. But a part of him knew why he was doing this. Just to see her one more time in case his body and soul gave out on him, as it was a chance that he might die. So this was what death felt like, he thought to himself. His ego was bruised, his pride was crushed, his body was probably broken beyond repair, yet he felt sharp. His heart felt so clear. Another cough rocked his body as he threw up. Blood and some other stuff came up. Eventually he started to limp once again. Snavi, he thought, as the words slowly left his lips. His body gave out on him. There was a collapse down to his knees. Before his head hit the ground though, he heard, "Naruto!" He thought he was daydreaming, hearing things, however. He was caught instead of smashing down to the ground. The only thing that he could tell that it was her was her feeling of her chakra. Because his haze was so blurry right now he could barely even see. "Stay still." Her voice came out soft as Naruto's hand came up and caressed her back. She was still as soft and welcoming as she always was. Now this was a proper way to go out. "I'm glad you're okay. I had no idea what kind of sick freaks were traveling along with that man." As he buried himself on her shoulder, his face buried in her hair, as he held on to her. "Idiot," she said. "Worry about yourself this once." "I'm okay," he lied. "I just have to shut my eyes for just a bit." "No," she said. "Don't sleep, stay awake. You have to stay awake." However, her attempts of keeping him awake was futile. Even her medical chakra was failing. Orochimaru stood behind him to keep them guard, as he remained quiet. However, something did caught his vision though. The plants were growing at an astonishing rate as he took a few samples. Not quite sure why, however, something intriguing was happening. "Snavi," said Jiraiya as he came over, "we should go and find Sensei now. This place is compromised." "Yeah," she says. She wiped her tears away as she hoisted Naruto on her shoulders. Orochimaru pocketed all of his sandals as they move on to find Sensei and get to Konoha as fast as possible. Time skip. Konoha. Senju household. As Mito made her way into the room. "Is something bothering you, Snavi?" "No." "Then why have you been sulking for the past few days?" "She has been like this for the past few days." "I'm not sulking," said Snavi. "Really?" said Mito. "I'm not sulking," she pouted. "Really? I'm not," she said. "Sure," said Mito. "What's that supposed to mean?" asked Snavi. "Oh, nothing." "Nothing at all," Mito said. "Why can't you just believe me for once, Bachan?" she said, knowing that your grandmother didn't believe her words. "But how can you believe your own words when they hold no weight to them, honey?" asked Mito. Try as she might, Snavi could not come up with a retort. That was all she said as she turned away, hiding her face as best she could. However, Mito found it incredibly cute as she came over and hugged her from behind. "What's gotten you into such a rut?" "How did you know I was trouble?" Snavi asked, knowing that she couldn't lie to her grandmother, even if she tried. "You haven't been coming to me for any medical lessons. No training, no meetings with your friends. Plus, I do cook in this house every day, so I know when you're not eating right. You haven't even gone to the hospital once since Naruto's condition stabilized." Mito saw there was a sour look on her face when she said that. As she snapped, "Why should I care if he stabilized? He can go and die for all I care," she snapped. As Mito raised her eyebrow, "So all that crying outside of the surgery room that I heard was all that a lie?" It wasn't like that, I was just worried. I would do that for anyone," she said. Mito kept on stroking her hair. "You two had a fight, I assume." "How can we have a fight?" said Snavi. "Why not?" said Mito. "They always bicker, but Naruto always surrendered because Snavi, well, she had too much energy for him, especially in their arguments. I told you, I don't care for him anymore, Bachan." "I saw. He had quite a rough time in the last mission," Mito said, as she was speaking calmly to Snavi while Snavi was snapping and getting angry. about the whole situation. Hell if I know, she said, as she seemed to get even more angrier at that. He didn't tell you, Mito asked. He doesn't tell me shit. Mito looked at her sharply. Language, young lady, she said. I will not have any of that in this household. Sorry, said Snatty, as Mito enhanced her hug. So, that is what this is all about. After a few seconds she spoke. I tried to ask him like usual, you know, but he just kept on dodging my questions, one way or another, and he never usually does that. She could feel her shoulder getting wet, as Snatty was starting to cry. Just give him some time. He was so cold to me, said Snatty. Shh, said Mito as she held on to her. I don't think he trusts me anymore, Bachan. Come on now, don't be silly, Mito said. He doesn't, I know it after all. I wasn't there to help him when he needed me. The thought that Snatty would blame herself for Naruto's condition had came to mind, but the fact that she was taking it so hard was a bit far a step than she thought. She herself knew exactly what Naruto was doing. It was just that Snatty has not went through these kind of things before. He was simply uncomfortable, letting Snatty know that he was completely humiliated by a foe. Uchihas had the most pride in this village. Yes, especially when it comes to their skills. Naruto might not show that he was a Uchiha most time, but he was the same as them deep down. The thought of Snatty thinking of him as a weak nobody must have him really troubled. Men usually have the saying that women are fickle. That's not exactly true, Snatty. Men are usually far more vulnerable than us. They just have a way to hide it better than us. As Snatty looked up towards her grandmother, as Mito's eyes looked over with nostalgia. Your grandfather, for example. He was a silly little man in this house, while I always played the responsible role. It was all a facade though. A facade? So it's Snatty. Yes, a lie. He liked leaving all the worries. Every worries outside the moment he stepped in here. It was only so that we never had to realize all that he go through in his daily life. He honestly thought that he had me in oblivion. That fool. But I was able to see right through it though. As that was a big deal in itself, after all. He was known as the god of shinobi. Having too much problem or a problem to think of that he couldn't best, people would think that it was a rather big deal or surprise. So with that he kept a jovial nature, never really showing rough emotions. You see, every now and then your grandfather would have something he wanted to talk to somebody about, but he could not. Be it his ego, shame, pride, or whatever you want to call it. They were things that he never wanted to confide to anyone about, not even to Burama. But a human can only bubble up so much, and when the time came to pop, he did it in the arms of the only person that he ever truly trusts in his entire life. You, said Snatty, as she looked towards her grandmother. Mito smiled, her cheeks took on a pink hue, as she did not deny it. He would go on and on and on about everything, laying it plain out in front of me. You should have seen him afterwards, though. He looked so embarrassed and sheepish. It was quite hysterical. What did you do after that? Snatty asked. Nothing, said Mito. Snatty was confused. Nothing? Yes. I just listened to him. There are times that is all that a man's need. Some won't listen to them. However, they only share those moments with someone they deem special. Give Naruto some time, he will come to you when the time to pop is finally there, and he will tell you everything. He will, she said. Trust me, he will. Snatty hugged her grandmother once more. I love you, Bachan, she said. I love you too, Munchkin, she said, as she hugged her back. A sudden thought struck Mito. Snatty, would you mind doing a mission for me? Snatty pulled back. Of course, she said. You would have to take Naruto with you though. Snatty hesitated, but Mito started to pet her hair. Alright, whatever, she said. As Mito nodded, I'll have it approved by your grand-uncle then. Where do we have to go for it? Uzu, said Mito. As Snatty nearly squealed out, I'll get to see Ashina Jiji then, she said. Yes, that you will. The last time she had visited Uzu, Hoshirama, her father Ashina, had nearly bankrupted their fortune for Snatty gambling endeavors. Gambling is prohibited though, said Mito, bashing all of Snatty's hopes. Oh, she said with a pout. As Mito sighed, there is no need to bankrupt them at the moment. Meanwhile, Konoha Hospital. Waking up in a hospital was getting far too annoying. If you ask Naruto, however, waking up with your limbs all cuffed down to the bed This was definitely Mito-bachan. Yes, this was definitely her. There was no doubt about that. These damn things had suppression seals on them. There is no way that he can escape these. So, a voice said, as Naruto turned his head. Old man, he said. Last I heard you got decimated, Tobirama said, looking rather amused. As Naruto gave him a dirty look, as he looked towards the chain on his wrist. Do you mind, he said. He motioned towards the keys hanging on the back of the main of the door. Not at all. If anything, I find you rather amusing, Tobirama said. As Naruto waited, remaining quiet. He waited some more. However, Tobirama just smiled, looking at him with a sense of pure humor. Very funny, said Naruto. It's from my side, said Tobirama. As Naruto sighed. How long have I been out this time, he said. You've been kept in an induced coma for a week, Tobirama said. As Naruto sighed, once again. This was not the first time he had woken up. Counting the first 2 times though, that means he has been out for roughly a month. His wounds must be rather severe if she had to go to these drastic measures. You nearly died, Tobirama said after a moment of silence. Yeah, I'm sorry, said Naruto. Tobirama got up as he walked towards Naruto's bed. As Naruto clenched his eyes, expecting some kind of slap or something, for his weak failure on the mission. However, he was pulled into a hug, arm hugging his head. I'm glad you came back alive, Tobirama admitted in a whisper. As Naruto's eyes instantly watered, it hurt his heart more than if it was a slap. As he buried his face into the man's chest, Tobirama had no experience in comforting someone. As he patted Naruto on the back, there, he said. As it still hurt Tobirama that his pupil was expecting a slap for a failure for a mission that was far above his pay grade. But the kind of things that he put him through, in his early age, as he called it a part of his training, he wasn't too surprised by his reaction though. He was furious when he heard Naruto's condition, but Hiruzen told him that the spot that Naruto had fought was a bridge. But after Naruto had fought his enemy, the only thing that was left was a smoldering crater, wide and deep. His student had fought bravely and came out alive. Mito was right about one thing though, he was still a child, he was just 13 years old. The world was dangerous and rough. Oftentimes he overlooked many things, especially Naruto's age doing training. The things that he put him through. Maybe even Hiruzen or Danzo would probably give up on being a student, but Naruto stuck it out no matter what. Tell me, who was it that did this to you? Tobirama's voice had no emotion yet. Naruto had never heard him sound so menacing before. Some man named Hanzo. He said he was from the Rain Village. Tobirama's jaw clicked in annoyance. He had indeed heard that name. Some idiot trying to bring revolution to the world. He said he knew my grandfather, said Naruto. A mistake, more like it, said Tobirama. Your grandfather left him alive during my brother's reign, saying that this Hanzo was far too weak to stay in his hand with. Hoshirama never paid a second mind to him either, but those two were on a different level far together, so their strength levels made a different measure completely. If possible, this made Naruto feel worse. Someone that his grandfather had decimated like a bug came back to treat him like a bug. And just like how his grandfather left him alive, he left him alive. Now he felt humiliated. He was pitied. He felt pathetic by that thought. It was rather embarrassing for him. Moving on to more pressing matters. I'm dissolving Squad 7, effective immediately. Even if the council was not weighing down on his back, he would have done it anyway, as he wouldn't let his pupil go rogue with the way things were going. So, I'm no longer. As the water rose from the vase and slashed the cuffs, freeing Naruto's arms, he rubbed his wrists. Yes, you are no longer a genin. Can't say I didn't expect this. One strike and I'm out, huh? Said Naruto. A lone tear left his eye. However, Tobirama threw him his headband. I have something different in mind for you. Something different? Said Naruto. As if on cue, the door opened up and a man walked in. A man that Naruto has never seen before. He had shaggy brown hair, wearing a standard grayish armor. There wasn't any pattern on his shoulders at all, showing that he was a man for combat as well. There was a cross-shaped scar on his chin. As Naruto wondered how did he get that. This is my subordinate, Tobirama said. Danzo Sharamura, the man said. As he outstretched his arm, Naruto took it and shook it. Uchiha Naruto, he said. As Tobirama spoke, I am laying down a completely different military foundation that will be called upon in extreme times of stress. Danzo will be heading this organization, and the only one his subordinates will be answering to is me. I'll have direct authority to its soldiers, no one else. No council, said Naruto, understanding what he was saying. Yes, just me, said Tobirama. As Danzo looked towards Tobirama, the man nodded. Raise your sleeve, he said. As Naruto raised his sleeve, Danzo went through a few hand signs. His hands started to glow with chakra. He reached out as Naruto grabbed his wrists. What the hell do you think you're doing, said Naruto. Getting branded by a seal by a stranger was not something that he was comfortable with. Branding you, said Danzo. It's necessary for all members, just a call sign of sorts when I require your services. I'm not having myself branded by a seal by some stranger, said Naruto. As Tobirama tried to calm the both of them down, as he couldn't even fault the boy, knowing who trained him in the art of stealing. I'll do it then, he says. He went around the bed. As he went through hand signs, as Naruto memorized the seals, is Sharingan looking at the hand. Sensei, Danzo said. He doesn't take orders well. He's a worthy candidate for this organization still. I have faith. As you say then, said Danzo. What does joining this organization entail, said Naruto, looking at the weird mark on his shoulder. It didn't even hurt. In his condition, you wouldn't want any more pain. You will protect the village from external threats. Conduct high-risk mission in enemy territory, and deal with extreme strong ninjas. You will also be responsible for carrying out assassination tracking, surveillance, and missions requiring specially trained ninjas. Some of our members will serve as interrogators to probe the mind of the enemies to gather intelligence. We shall recruit our own medics as well. And since we will become so vital to the operation of the village, we cannot be arrested by regular police forces without a warrant. While many will choose to serve in this operation and further their careers, they can return to the standard forces if they choose to. That is if it's too much for them, Danzo said. As Naruto blinked, it seems that the old man over there is a dictator. Danzo couldn't believe that Tobirama let this child get away with so much disrespect. Lord 7, he corrected, as Naruto simply glared at him. He was already starting to dislike this man. It wasn't even his first day in the organization yet. Tobirama threw Naruto's scroll as he unsealed it. His new equipments were inside. You'll be joining after returning from the last mission, Mito, as assigned to you as a genin. What is the organization called, said Naruto as he looked towards the Black Blade. Anvu. Anvu Black Ops, Tobirama said. And yeah guys, that's it. I'm afraid this is where it ends. I just want to say thank you for sticking around. Yeah, and not to worry guys, new what ifs are coming up soon, so just sit back, relax, and yeah, stay in tune to enjoy. But for now, I'm out of here. See you guys soon. Peace guys.